it's you.
Nice to meet you. I must say you look much better than on your photo on Amazon or Book Depository. Okay, this is Knight of Cups from Lightyear's Tarot, and this is VR2 great hashtag created by Candy Soul and Soil, Dating the Tarot. The idea was to talk about decks that are not in our favorites list, but as some of the prompts involve some kind of a love affair, there will be some decks from my top 5, top 10, and all of my decks fit in my top 100 favorites anyway, so let's go. Prompt number 1, the Cheapskate date. Who did you date because they were cheap as chips, and what was the outcome? My all-time cheapest tarot deck is a Zombie Tarot. I bought it from my local bookstore with a great discount. And I would say that this was the date where you thought you are going to some drive-in fast food place, but you ended up in a nice restaurant with a bit creepy waiter. Production quality. The little white book, which is not little and not really white, but made just perfect for this deck. And also the packaging, the smart ideas behind the card interpretations. But then again, they are still zombies. So I use this deck for questions which are not very emotional and when I can take some dark humor approach. But this deck will definitely stay in my collection for being smart and for being different. So, current relationship status, let's keep in touch. Prompt number 2, the slow burner date. The one you are not sure about on first meeting, but over time you suspect it's turning to love. So for me, it's Deviant Moon. We got introduced virtually, and when I first saw pictures, I was like, how cuckoo should you be to date this guy? And yes, this deck definitely has male energy for me. But after watching some Simons from Hermit's Cave videos and also his interview with Patrick Valenza, who is the creator of this gorgeous deck, I started to change my mind, and I actually bought this deck directly from Patrick's website, so you can see how my mind shifted. And I also got the big guidebook Patrick has wrote, because when a guy comes with instruction, you have to use it, right? And I'm very happy I had this guidebook, and if you have the possibility to get it, I would also suggest that you get it with this deck, because it really allows you to get under the skin of this deck. And I would say that I see myself in you. This is the type of friendship we have with this deck. I see its deep soul and fragility behind the mask it wears. So we are too similar to be passionately attracted, because for attractions you need an opposite. But this is a friend with whom I can be my true self. Prompt number 3, blind date. Because we are all impulsive human beings and sometimes we just rush in. Who did you date without looking or thinking? I have several of those. Fountain Tarot. Saw it in my local bookshop. I think I saw some of the cards online before, but just looking at the packaging and at some of the pictures at the bottom of the box, I was sold. Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot, the same story. Went into the local bookshop, saw the cover picture, saw some pictures on the side of the box. I was sold. And Dark Mansion Tarot, the most impulsive buy in terms of finances. I saw it on Jennifer's Ball's Witch House first, and it was an instant click. I ordered this deck even before the flip through of the deck was over. I just paused the video and went online searching for this deck. And I ended up having standard and also limited edition. And there is a curious thing. My impulse buys always turn out well. As Nicoletta Ciccoli is still one of my very favorite decks. I love Fountain Tarot. I love Dark Mansion Tarot. But as for those, I go back and forth considering pros and cons. Not all of them turn out to be in my favorites list. So it seems that I'm a blind date type of girl. So current relationship status, ready for the next blind date. Prompt number 4, the rebound date. The one you keep going to break up with, but keep being pulled back together. For me, this will be El Goliath tarot deck. I have 2nd edition. And I was struggling with this prompt because when some of my decks end up in rehoming pile, they stay there. And usually I'm not pulled back together with those decks. But there was a bit different situation with the El Goliath Tarot. When I received the deck, the cards with white borders had lots of greasy black spots, like smears. Actually, the deck looked like I was keeping it in a mud pile or something like that. I've been working for almost 5 years in a publishing company, so I would say that if my client would see such a deck quality, he would definitely say that this is a printing issue and wouldn't agree to pay for the job. I contacted the creator, but the response was that it's normal. That's the production quality they knew they will have, but they needed to have the black borders on the cards, so it's okay. But I got a small refund from them, just as a gesture of goodwill. And to be honest, I thought I will not be able to work with this deck. Because really, each time I saw a card with white borders, I just see that there's like black fingerprints or something on the sides. But after a short while, there happened like a click in my brain. And I thought that just because this deck was a bit neglected by his parents, it doesn't mean that it doesn't deserve a chance. So for now, the deck is still in the box. I haven't worked with it yet, but I love the images. I love the feeling of this deck. And, which is more important, I spent a couple of evenings just doing all I can to clean the edges. And now they look quite decent, to my big surprise. And just the effort and the time I put into polishing this deck also makes it close to my heart. So, relationship status, there will definitely be a 2nd date. Prompt number 5, the surprise love affair. The one you thought you would be just okay, but from first meeting it was love at first sight, and that took you by surprise. For me, it's Naked Heart Tarot. I ordered this deck together with Prismavisions Tarot from Little Red Tarot just to save money on shipping, and this was definitely a second pilot. But when I received this deck, I opened the box, and the first card I saw, of course, was the full card. And I closed the box immediately, because I don't know how to explain it differently, but it felt like he was alive. Like this beautiful creature was really looking at me. And from that moment on, this is I Will Always Understand You deck. Like love with an all-time friend, where there are no fireworks or explosions, but just a very, very deep connection. And the reason this deck doesn't go into my top list, because there are decks that are in different category. It's I feel you, not I like you or I love you communication. So relationship status, you know how I feel about you. Prompt number 6, not my type date. The one you went on thinking it was really not your cup of tea, but what the hell. For me is Accurate AF deck, first edition. I noticed it on some channels walkthrough and thought that, okay, I was thinking about getting a round deck. I think I would like to have one in my collection, and this looks quite okay. Let's try it. Although at the first sight I noticed that it seems to be a little bit of teenage vibes, a bit teeny who pretends to be wise and grown up. But when I started working with this deck, it does what smart kids do. They throw the truth on you without really thinking, and like you are just, oh my goodness, I didn't think of that. So this is a bit out of system keywords that don't really fit in my understanding of the Wade Smith system. But when I read with those cards, I usually read also the keywords. And there's usually just that one word that totally makes sense. And I know that this deck has a second edition, and creators tried to improve some production issues and changed some of the pictures, but I will not get a second edition. This is perfect just the way it is. And relationship status, please, never grow up. Prompt number 7, I may have to delete your number date. The one that really didn't work out, but you still haven't broken up with it yet. What's stopping you? For me, this is Shadowland Tarot. Yes, beautiful deck, very interesting artwork, but I just can't connect with it. And now to the reasons I'm keeping it. When I go abroad, especially when I think this could be my only visit to this country, I try to take home something for both of my passions, a book by local author and a card deck. So when, not this year's, but in summer of 2019, I went to Toronto, I knew that maybe this is the one and only time I'll be in Canada. So what I brought home was Handmaid's Tale and this little beauty, the House of Shadows Lenormand deck. It's just literally cute as hell. Just, oh, love it. And of course, when I saw that the author of this wonderful little deck, Monika Badirsky, is having a tarot deck, I thought, okay, this will be totally my cup of tea. I'll have to have it immediately. But right now, I don't know. Maybe the artwork is too, I don't know how to say it, but too much of the detail, too much of the color. I don't know. But nope, this is not really my jam. The reason we are still staying together and I still haven't give up on connecting with this deck is because of this little guy. Because I like this deck so much. So I would say relationship status, staying together because of children. Prompt number 8, the forever love. True love, one from favorites list. As I mentioned before, there are several decks that are on my beyond the favorites category. There is Robert and Place Vampire Tarot and Bohemian Gothic Tarot and True Black Tarot, but latest deck, which most likely will also end up in my Beyond the Favorites list, is this beauty, Tarot of Mystical Moments. This really was love from the first sight. From the moment I saw pictures on Catherine Welchstein, who is author of this beautiful deck, on her social media, I knew this is deck for me, that this is one of the all-time most beautiful decks I've ever seen. So yes, truly love from the first sight, and most likely will end up in my favorites list. From number 9, the Stormy on-off date. The one you can't stay away from. Equal parts passion, lust, fighting. The one you have to have a break from but can't stay away from either. In terms of passion and fighting, it has to be Alice Tarot from Baba Studios. I'm a huge Alice fan. And of course, when Baba Studios was reprinting Alice deck, I just had to have it. And it is gorgeous, and it's just stunningly beautiful. It's very nicely done. Also, in terms of guidebook, guidebook tells you how each card fits into the story, and there are no extra storylines or extra characters. Everything is taken out from Lewis Carroll. But I really disagree with some of the card meanings. For example, oh no, White Rabbit can't be the magician. Have you read the stories? Like, how? Okay, I can cope with White Rabbit being a Page of Swords, or this is a Wonderland, Tarot of Wonderland from Barbara Moore. Okay, this I can understand. He could be a Page of Pentacles, but he cannot be the magician. But then again, he looks so great in this suit and on this card. And there is perfect cards like High Priestess. And there are equally perfect cards. Just give me a moment. Yeah, like Lovers, Walrus and Carpenter. That's perfect. And then there are cards like, give me a second, like Wheel of Fortune, when you wave the fan and you don't know the outcome, so you just hope for the best. And cards like This is a Magician, like Cheshire Cat is a magician, he's not the Hangman, why? And then there is just perfect Temperance card, when you bite a little drop from one side of the mushroom and from the other side of the mushroom, and you try to manage the result. And Jabberwock as the devil, it's like, oh, it's like also perfect. So yeah, this is the story of me and this deck. There are some cards I just like and adore and can totally understand, like the moon, like the falling in the well. But then there are some which are like in a cup suit. There are a bunch of cards which have approximately the same story on them. So yeah, there is passion and fighting at the same time. So I would say that this will stay in my collection, of course. And this deck is a very important part of my Alice family. And you can't always choose your relatives, Number 10, the Friends with Benefits date. Who can you run to without commitment whenever you just have a need for them? The one who always just slots right back in like you've never been apart. Pagan Otherworlds. This is, first of all, of course, one of the most beautiful decks. It's gorgeous. It's calm. It's very easy to understand. It brings you very precise, direct messages, no extra emotions, no extra words. We know how to talk to each other. We know how to understand each other. I usually use at least very often I use this deck when reading for others. And yes, I can trust this deck each time I take it from my shelf. But yeah, we don't share deep emotional connection, but we are definitely best colleagues. Thank you if you stayed with me throughout this video. Maybe you even decided to play along. As always, have a very nice day, and maybe with even some drops of romance in it.